Broadcast. And hey, everybody, this is Richard, and this is Spelljamming Troika, in which we use Daniel Sell's great game Troika to explore the old AD&D setting Spelljammer, specifically the wonderful city of the Rock of Brawl. And I'm going to pass this over to my players. We are down to 2 players tonight, and sort of let them introduce their characters and recap what happened last time. This is a Gauntlet game. We are in line with the Gauntlet inclusivity policy, which means we do have safety cards on the table, safety tools on the table. This game specifically uses the X card, which a nice simple Google search will tell you all about it. And I'm going to pass this over to the 2 characters who are here tonight. Carl, the Golem, and Morel, the Yogi Stalker. Sorry, I keep losing my place on the spreadsheet. And our wonderful character keeper. And I'll start with Morel, who joined the party last week. You were working for/with the Library of the Spheres. Right.
Not exactly working for them, but basically trading information.
Right. Okay. Introduce your character. Tell us a little about you, and tell us kind of what happened to you last week, and then we'll come back for a larger bit of context from Carl as you introduce yourself. So.
All right. Well, I heard that the other characters, that last week was my first session. I heard that the other characters had encountered a sort of Neogi construct, a sentient constructed being on a planet, and I was looking for them to get more information about this. I found most of the crew, all of them except for the captain, in a bar, which was run by a beholder. And while I was there, the beholder struck everybody in the bar with a fear beam. And in the ensuing chaos, we discovered that it had been possessed by a variation of this Neogi construct. We fought it and destroyed it. And in the aftermath, we discovered that they were targeting us. They had attacked the Rock of Brawl because we had something that they wanted. It turned out that it was a set of star charts that the party had found on the same planet with this construct. We brought it to the library to consult with an expert. When we got to the library, we discovered that our expert was being interrogated by a couple of, as it turned out, vampires, including Stregor Hatsir, legendary crow warrior, crow pirate who had been thought long dead. And the star charts that they had found on this planet belonged to him, and they showed the location of a base which is not in any of the historical records. Sounds like something he might not want people to know about. He might even go to extreme lengths, such as attacking the Rock of Brawl, to keep that information out of our hands. So in the ensuing fight, we drove off the 2 vampires who turned into mist and fled. And I mean, we returned to the ship looking for the captain. We never found him, but we did find more of these Neogi who we fought, drove off the ship. And I think I got that out of order. I think we went to the ship before we went to the library, but yeah, basically at the end of the session, our captain was missing. We thought perhaps he had been taken to the secret pirate base. The vampires were gone. We had discovered that the threat was much greater than we had known, and our captain is still missing. Needs to be rescued.
All right. Thank you. And Carl, back up and give us a little more. Introduce yourself and then give us sort of your side of the story. You have a little more background. As we said, we started with Morel, who is the newest. But you were there when you discovered the Neogi sentient constructs, and feel free to give us any context on that, as well as fill us in on any additional details that happened last week.
Mm-hmm. So I'm Jesse. I'm playing Carl, who is a sentient bronze golem. I'm fairly tall, relatively thin for that large height, and made entirely of bronze. So one day I was a non-sentient porter golem on the docks at Brawl when all of a sudden I wasn't non-sentient anymore. I became self-aware and aware of the world, and after sort of getting my legs under me, I sort of wanted to find out more about what this means, how I went from being a non-sentient construct to being a self-aware being, and that led me to the Library of the Spheres, where I have become part of this crew of the Heartless Bastard. Captain, I do not remember his character name, but the ship of another one of the player characters, we sort of go on collection missions for the library. And it was on one of these missions we were searching for a pack of some kind of magical playing cards, that we came across a downed Neogi. What's the Dread Spider? What's the I forget exactly what the ship class is. A downed Neogi ship.
Death Spider.
Death Spider, right? In which we determined would have the cards, and as Morel said, we found these spider automatons. They're defending what appeared to be a weird Neogi vampire type thing, with birthing new little Neogi vampires. It was pretty terrifying. And in the captain's cabin, where the pack of cards were, and also these star maps, which we identified as belonging to the apparently long dead Skro pirate Troika. And then we got back. Morel sort of caught you up on the fallout from that. The one thing that sort of was left up, I don't remember if we decided this or we sort of left it up in the air to determine at the beginning of this session, was we knew that the vampires had left the library. We drove them off from the library, and we were deciding whether, unless I'm misremembering, which is certainly possible, the end of the last session is a little fuzzy for me, but whether or not we were going to go to their ship, which was docked, or immediately make for our ship and try to beat them to the location on these star maps, which we think might be a base, but might also just be a destination that Straight Hesir wants. Like, could be treasure there could be a weapon there, we have no idea.
And Springer was also using a ship that was originally designed by the Elven Armada. And I'm gonna, because half the joy of Spelljammer are these ship layout, are these portraits of the beautiful, freaky fantasy spaceships. I'm going to you can't do Spelljammer without lots of graphics. So find my ship cards. I'm gonna keep looking past it. Thought I would have it up. There we go. It is a wasp. And I'm going to share my screen for just a second.
The link should be also in the chat from last.
Oh, that's right. Right. I wanted to share it with our audience at home, at least briefly, because they are with us for at least this long into the broadcast, almost every week. I look at those analytics, people. But that is a wasp, and the is a much bigger crew complement than the dragonfly that our heroes fly. Even though it is got gigantic sails and lots of legs, and you're not really sure where they would put that many people. Do you guys have any questions about things you remember from last week? You need me to clarify or anything like that?
I was curious about vampire lore in this setting. That's for like what their vulnerabilities are, what's known about them.
You know, sunlight is normally a thing that vampires are not able to resist, as well as silver and magic. Otherwise, they are bad news, and you will not be able to do much. You can drive them off with normal violence. You can sometimes drive them off with straight up just beating on them, but you do not get them to stay away. Without some of those things. Silver, silver, magic, and sunlight.
What about things like garlic mirrors? Do those have any effect?
Garlic, no known effect on vampires unless they just personally hate it. Okay. Mirrors, I don't believe vampires see themselves in mirrors. Or you can't see a vampire in a mirror, or, but it doesn't necessarily drive them away or scare them.
Right, but it could be used to identify them.
Right. And you know they are dead and do not breathe. They don't eat other than consuming blood. And they if they play their cards right, they can live forever. It's one of the most powerful kinds of undead that kind of happen through the course of classic necromantic processes. You can, if you are a vampire, you can make other vampires. Whereas liches and mummies and complex undead like that, things that are not hungry undead, have to sort of make themselves into that as part of their living ritual. You have to sort of prepare to become a lich or a mummy, where becoming a vampire sort of just happens. Because another vampire took an interest in you.
Okay, and their special abilities, they include turning into mist, and they had the hypnotic domination going on with the librarian. Anything else we should be aware of?
Hey, you're muted if you're trying to respond. I can't tell.
It would help if I would unmute too. I said something brilliant.
Now we'll never know.
I know. So, Moral, why don't you roll on your skill? Just try to get under it.
Okay. 6, and my skill is a 6, so
Awesome.
It's equal.
Awesome. You know that most vampires come from human stock? And that vampires that come from human stock can transform into some fairly standard Earth-like planet animals, like wolves and bats. Things that have a close association with the moon and darkness. Who knows if that's true of a scroll vampire? Because no one's ever been silly enough to turn a scroll into a vampire before. That you've ever been recorded. Maybe it's just that people who meet scroll vampires don't survive to record things.
That sounds thrilling.
Right.
All sorts of surprises in store for us.
Who knows what a scroll vampire may turn into? In the process of this, you also saw the scroll vampire turn a Neogi Great Master into a vampire right before it gave birth to its offspring. And you're not really sure what it might not be able to turn into a vampire. I mean, probably not a golem, and probably not a clockwork horror that looks like a spider and kills every living thing it meets.
Right, but that seems to serve the vampire.
The keywords there seem to be living thing. All right. Dentaria Villalobos and Gunny are going to sort of group with some of the librarians at the library, I think, for a bit while they try to figure out what to do. They are going to try to talk to the library director. You can take the ship with 2 people, so that is a limited crew complement.
Might be a good idea to scout out the Scrow ship and see if we can get a sense of their activities, and then when we get back together, see if the captain's there, see if or he wandered off staring at the sky as he is known to do. See if the whether they have more, whether there's still something like, do they want those cards back too? Did they just want the star charts? Like, see if we can get a sense, or if they just took off.
Now, you know, once you get into port, you never just take off. The ship was not ready to leave port when you saw it shortly before. Like, once you get into port, getting out of port, it's, you don't go blasting out of the pod bay doors, unless you plan to destroy lots of things and possibly including your own ship.
Got it.
So, you know, it's a little bit more like taking a ship out of dock or out of harbor.
So could we get the civil authorities to impound the ship, prevent it from leaving?
They would certainly want some evidence. But that is one of the routes you can take. What would you like to do? And you don't have to stick together.
I mean, do we want to, Morel, do you want to go and scout out this ship just so that we can maybe either gather evidence against them? Do we want to see if we can find out if there's any other activity, like they've had any other activity in the city? whether maybe we can get our hands on one of the pirates and interrogate them, the non-vampire pirates, if there are any.
We'll also tell you that the person with the immediate authority to impound a ship without any sort of process, I mean, besides the prince, who you may not be able to track down, the person with the immediate authority just to deny exit or try to force the ship to stay in dock would be the harbor master, who is at the harbor, that you know, or at least the harbor master of the harbor where the ship is docked. There is a general harbor master of the city for all the docks and ports and in the city, but you know, the person immediately supervising that harbor, that area.
I will say that I stand out most places in this city. The one place where I do not stand out is right at the docks, because there's this core of, I don't know how many of us there are, but there's some number of golems like me that are used to schlep things.
Right.
So I might be able to get close to them without them noticing me.
And Morel, do you want to go with Carl, or do you want to go talk to someone else?
I think I'll go with Corral. We'll try to get to the ship quickly before the vampires have a chance to get organized, and see if we can get information there. That sounds like a good plan.
All right. Things have quieted down in the streets. I mean, you're hearing a lot of people over, you know, talking about the incident at the Laughing Beholder. A lot of people are like, well, what if he disintegrated us? And we were able to get over to the docks without any significant incident or confusion or consternation. And I'd like, you know, the ship itself appears to be deserted, or at least the decks of the ship appear to be deserted. And I'd like to know what you would like to do now that you're here. The docks are as busy as ever. There are numerous constructs, including other bronze golems, out, lifting and hauling, mending things and doing repairs. There is a gnome ship in port, which is always a busy thing, as people who share berths next to the gnome ship do not want to be there, because they're afraid. There's always the fear that a gnome ship might explode at any moment. Gnomes have a tendency to experiment with things, and so the ship you're specifically looking at is quiet.
Is there any activity going on, obviously not on the ship, but around it? Is there like cargo being moved, like to be loaded, or stacked as if it's been unloaded? Like, is there a sense that there's like activity, even though at this moment it's quiet, that there's like activity from around the ship?
The there are some crates around the ship, near the ship, that are not being guarded, but are sort of bundled together by rope. No one seems to be messing with them. They seem to have the small and unimportant variety. You know, this would, you know, the they seem unimportant specifically because they seem like the kind of things that you could stack in a small corner of somebody's quarters, and they would still have room to get into bed at least. This does not look like anything in there. You know, it's certainly not labeled food. And the fact that it's left unguarded tends to suggest not terribly important stuff.
Does it look like it? Like, did it come off the ship, or is it going on the ship?
No. It looks like it was set out to bring on the ship.
Okay.
Someone left it here for the people on the ship to come down and load.
Morel, what do you say I try to get on the ship by picking up that stack of cargo and trying to load it up and see if I get a response?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I think I can fit in one of these boxes too, so you can carry me on board.
You can give it a shot.
And then once we're on board, we can search and maybe sabotage it.
The question is, can we get you in the box without anyone noticing?
Yeah, that's right.
The box is a little too big for what it's carrying. It's actually carrying a whole bunch of just sort of like what looked like random papers. Almost like they were set there to nest something or to cradle something, which is not there. Almost looks like somebody got a box ready to pack and then didn't pack it, and then somebody else put the lid on it, type thing. I would like to well, we're going to do a contested roll, I think, this time. I'm trying to check out. Yeah, you can add your sneak to this contested roll.
Okay. 13.
Yeah, I was going to say, your sneak is alone higher than what they got. Without any dice. In fact, they got snake eyes, which means they automatically fail. Yeah, you were able to... just while Karel is strolling around the box, just sort of tip it up, check inside, and jump inside.
I guess then I lift up the box, and I guess however many more of them I can get.
A few are of different shapes and seem to be sealed with specific merchant seals. This particular box does not have a seal on it. The one that Morel got into. There's others that seem to have distinct merchant seals, including some houses that you know are run by gnomes.
Mm-hmm. I'm willing to. I want to take at least one of those if I can lift it and add it to my stack of.
You can easily get 3 boxes to lumber up. You could carry 4. What's your total skill there?
Skill is 6. My strength is 3 plus the 6.
Yeah. I think you can definitely get 5 boxes. I'm going to need you to test strength if you try to get more than that.
No, 5 is good, including the one Morel's in. So 4 plus him.
Right. And you are a skilled dock worker. There's not a lot of need to roll to keep your balance or anything crazy like that.
I was built for this.
You've even taken halflings in boxes onto ships before. You may not know
Actually,
that.
That's probably not funny. That's probably really sad.
Yeah. You may not know that's what you've done.
You know, the burden feels oddly familiar. I actually think that I'm having a uncomfortable emotional experience about all of this, as it sort of is as the ease and naturalness of this whole thing is reminding me of maybe what I'm supposed to be as opposed to what I am, and lots of feelings. So So I carry him and the other 4 boxes up the gangplank towards into the Wasp.
As you get to the top of the gangplank and step off it onto the deck of the ship, let me look at that ship floor plan real quick again. Yeah, you actually come up through sort of like a hatch in the bottom of the ship, sort of underneath the tail.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have awareness, Carl?
I do not. I kind of wanted to try to get it, but the opportunity never really arose.
Right. I'd like you to just roll your skill.
Mm-hmm. That is a 6, which is even with my skill.
Very good. You come up and you hear a noise, and your head pivots to make eye contact with a Scrow who's kind of lurking in the shadows. There is no source of light on this sort of cargo hold area, other than what's coming in through the decks, through the harbor of Brawl. So there are no windows or anything in the cargo hold, which makes sense. You've been in lots of cargo holds. And just in that light, kind of coming up through that hatch, you see a set of very large feet. And they don't move out of the shadows, even as and you see the eyes sort of glisten, and they're the yellow orcish Scrow eyes, and your view of them is impeded by kind of the high snout-like nose that Scrow have.
Is it obviously not the same? I don't have a good view, but can I tell whether it's obviously the same vampire Scrow that we saw before, or some different?
I don't think you can.
Okay.
And it's just what are you doing on the ship?
He asks.
Yes.
I don't stop walking. And I'd say, in my that echoey voice that just emerges from my head, loading cargo.
Who told you to load this cargo?
Porter supervisor.
Who's the porter supervisor's boss?
Harbor master.
We will be registering an official complaint.
I sort of keep walking into the hold without.
Set them down. Turn around.
I set them down and I turn around.
You can exit now. You don't need to bring up anything else for this particular vessel again for any reason. Tell this porter supervisor that we meant what we said, and his curiosity is not of interest to me.
Name and rank, please.
1 second. Avedrak. First mate.
So I turn around and walk back towards the gangplank. Can I tell whether or not he's watching me or the boxes or?
He doesn't seem to move, so you would guess he's watching you. Like he's going to be in the exact. You feel like he's in that exact same position.
Okay, I am going to try to sneak out of the box and get cover. I'm going to assume that Carl was smart enough to put the boxes down, so that the view of the box that I'm in is obstructed by the other boxes.
That seems like a good assumption. So you're going to try to very quietly pop the lid off this thing and kind of tumble out?
Right.
Morel, why don't you roll with sneak? And you're looking to beat a 15.
Okay, that's 16.
Very well done. So you don't make a sound, you're pretty sure, as you pop the lid off and sort of kind of tilt the box forward, pry yourself out, and just kind of bring yourself down gently to the floor, kind of rocking the box back into where it was and setting the lid back down. There's a few other items sort of around where Carl had to set the boxes down. But those themselves sort of give you cover. You don't hear the scrow you assume he was talking to by the accent. Or you don't see anything that would suggest their presence. From the layout of the ship, from where you saw it on the dock, the hold is at the rear end of the lowest deck. You could just see from where the cargo gangplank went in. What would you like to do?
I want to explore the ship very carefully. Just sneak around and see what's there. Try to get an idea of where the crew is, what they're doing, how many they are. See if I can find any evidence of anything shady that we can bring to the harbor master. If I see an easy way to sabotage the ship, I'll take it.
Nice. Okay. I'd like you to roll sneak if you can. If you would.
Okay. Is this an add or a roll under?
Let's make this an add.
Okay, it's 16.
All right. You have tied them. Would you like to test your luck?
Sure.
All right. So test your luck and then roll 1.
Right. Now I'm guessing that I haven't regained any luck since the last session. Since
No,
you're raising.
I don't think so.
Right. Okay. So, ooh, that's over my luck.
Okay.
That is a 10, and I'm down to a 7. So let's see. But I still lose a luck anyway, right?
Yes, you still lose the luck anyway. So you barely manage to duck behind a crate and sort of press yourself down as the door out of the cargo hold opens. And this is a big door. I mean, people are bringing pretty substantial boxes in and out of there. And in a language you can't understand, you see some Scrow start arguing with the Scrow who was already. You would guess this was the Scrow that Carl was speaking to, and they start arguing. I mean, they call out to it. It sort of manifests out of the darkness. They start arguing. There's a lot of chest thumping. At which the one that Carl was speaking to, you'd guess, instructs one of them to leave out the hatch or out the gangplank to the docks. You'd guess to pick up whatever remains of those boxes. And then everybody walks through that door forward on the ship. And closes it behind them. What do you do?
I'm alone in the cargo hold.
Yeah. Though you know one of them is coming back up.
Okay, I guess I'm going to find good cover.
Okay.
And just look around as best I can.
Right. Let's jump to Carl, who's been sent back down to the docks. Did you go all the way to the end of the gangplank, and what are you doing when you get there? When you get to the end, if so?
You're muted.
Sorry, I think I parked myself by the what's left of the boxes, facing the ship, and I just stand there, sort of to see what happens.
It's a couple of minutes later. You don't hear anything from the ship, and all of a sudden, a huffy-looking Scrow comes down the gangplank, picking up the last bits of boxes that you left by itself, and then puts the smaller ones down and picks up the biggest one, kind of balances on his back, and starts trundling up the gangplank into the cargo hold.
So when after he puts down the smaller ones and just trundles the bigger ones,
Mm-hmm.
I start to pick up the smaller ones to follow him.
Yeah, as soon as you get about halfway up the gangplank when he's like, "Oi, no, boss said no one else on the ship, and you've been instructed. Your boss has been instructed."
I don't say anything. I just stop on the gangplank, holding the boxes.
Yeah, hand those over.
I hold them forward towards him.
He starts moving down the gangplank carefully to.
He's still carrying that big box.
Oh
right?
no, he's gotten in the hold ahead of you, and put that down, and then turned around to confront you. Sorry, let me paint that picture. So he started like moving down and empty arms forward, like hand those over and go away.
So I reach forward with how many of them are there? Is it like an amount that he could carry? Scrolls are pretty big and strong, but they're not giant golems.
Yeah, they're not giant golems, and they are big and strong. Also, they don't have the reach of your arms that are just designed for carrying and lifting things. So he's going to struggle, you think, to hold on to these.
So here's what I'm going to do. I don't know. This is maybe you tell me. I think what I'm going to try to do is, as he reaches out to take them, I'm going to try to hand them over to him in like a deliberately clumsy way that causes him to lose his balance on the gangplank and fall. I don't know if that's I handle them very easily. He struggles. I sort of just like maybe let go before he fully has a grip.
Carl, I'm going to ask you to now just to make sure I completely paint the picture. This gangplank is over empty space. All right. So I'd like you to roll and add your wrestling.
Ooh, that's a thing I'm kind of good at. Oh, that's a pretty good roll. That is 16.
He had a total of an 8. So I think your wrestling score, again, beat the total he got. Even if I'd given them a higher skill. It would have, yeah. Anyway. 1 second. Do you let the boxes fall with them?
So I think what I would like to do, is this may be like too complicated a maneuver, but I rolled okay. So I'm gonna see if you buy it. I think sort of what I'm trying the move I make is so as I hand over the boxes, I sort of let one hand go before the other, so that like it gets into his hands in like not an even way, but in kind of an unbalanced way. That like causes him to stumble and fall overboard. And maybe I drop, I don't know how many there are, but I drop like half of them, but I'm still able to hold 1 or 2 of them in the other hand that, like maintained that kept the balance of those boxes. And maybe one hits the gangplank and some fall off with him, but no. You're muted.
The way you described it sounds fine. So that's what happens.
All right. So then I don't know. I just continue with the remainder of the boxes into the cargo hold as if that didn't happen.
Just as you enter the cargo hold, you hear the orbital bell that indicates somebody has fallen into the rock's orbit, probably from the docks. It's on the docks because that tends to be from whence people fall into the orbital area. And you don't hear much of a scream. You hear sort of a cry and then a thud. And you suspect one of your boxes that tumbled hit him in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And you're up in the hold.
Is there anybody there?
I pop my head out.
Did you say that out loud?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
But I mean, I'm not trying to be subtle or stealthy. You hear the sound, like I'm a big bronze golem. You can probably hear me clumping up into the hold as I go.
Right.
Sort of distinctive sound and that weird penguin walk I do.
It's likely you would have also heard the muffled cry and the scuffle on the deck or on the gangplank.
Right. So I have a pretty good idea that this Scrow is not coming back and Corral is on his way.
Well.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah, you got very little light.
Yeah, but I'm pretty good at seeing in the dark, so I'm doing it. And I don't want to draw attention to myself anyway by making a light.
Right.
And so I guess when Corral gets there, I'm opening up one of the boxes with the gnomish seal. I want to see what sort of stuff they're bringing on board.
How are you trying to open it?
I assume there are crowbars or such lying around.
There are oddly not.
There are not. That's.
I mean, the Scrow are not known for keeping tightly run ships.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've got an axe with me, so I should be able to pry it open with that.
Like, for instance, on Matthias's ship, you would not leave tools lying around because you never know when the ship is going to roll, or suddenly toss before gravity can catch up with it. But on this ship, on most Scrow ships, getting hit by a shovel that somebody else left lying around is your problem if you get hit by it. This ship is tightly run. In fact, all the boxes are tied down to the deck in proper sort of almost naval fashion. So they can't slide, they can't fly around, except for the ones that you guys just sort of randomly set down. So what were you using?
My axe.
Your axe, okay. You're getting let's roll with axe fighting. Just try to roll under your axe fighting.
Okay.
Equal or under, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, I succeed.
Nice. Okay. Inside the gnomish ship is numerous pieces of finely detailed clockwork gears. In fact, as soon as you open the box, you overturn some compartment within the box, and they sort of slip out onto the floor. And the light, Carl, you cannot miss these things. These are super finely detailed watchmakers' gears.
Do they look like what we saw when I disassembled when we banged the stuffing out of those Nyogi constructs, or are they?
Yes, yeah, they look exactly like what much like what you saw there. I mean, as far as you can see in the dark.
I still don't. I'm not speaking, but it's good to know that.
Okay, I'm going to put a few of these things in one of my pockets because this seems like evidence we could show the harbor master. I mean, not super convincing evidence, but if we can get some more corroborating evidence, it might help convince him. Because these things were all over the station causing havoc. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. What do you want to do now?
I'm going to quickly check the other boxes, the ones that are already tied down. Are there a lot of these gnomish boxes with the gnomish seals? Is there anything else that looks unusual in the cargo?
There's a lot of boxes with the gnomish seals. There's no food. There's something that's probably the most unusual is what's absent. There's no food. You don't see water tanks. There are a couple of these empty boxes. And then everything has manifest, but you can't really read it in the dark.
Okay, let's see. Corral, do you think we should explore the ship more, or should we go to the harbor master with what we've got?
What have we got?
Well, they're shipping the parts for these Nyogi constructs.
I mean, this could also, be standard clockwork.
Yeah, and I mean, we're pretty sure that if he investigates this, it sounds like everyone on the ship is a vampire, or they would have food. So, if the harbor master investigates and finds a ship full of vampires, he's going to. I mean, that's not the kind of thing.
If they pay their harbor fees and don't hurt anybody, he's not going to care.
Carl does have a point. Nyogi, docket brawl, beholders, docket brawl. Mind flayers have an embassy here.
I think we need to take a closer look around the ship.
Okay.
Out of character, this is going to lead to some kind of a fight that we probably don't want to have.
If you're in an OSR game, every fight is kind of a fight you don't want to have unless you roll well, which you guys have historically rolled really well. I'm
kind of hard to hurt, is the truth.
That's true.
Like, if the enemy's tough enough, eventually they will beat me down. Do we have a good sense of what the layout of the ship should be? Like, where the cargo hold? Like, have I been on a Wasp before?
You have been in the cargo hold of a Wasp before, but you don't get to go on a lot of like a dock worker. You don't get to take tours. Most Wasp are military ships.
Got it.
So do we know the layout well enough to know where, for instance, the captain's cabin would be?
Um,
or where any documents might be kept.
I think this is kind of a time for one of you to press your luck, to test your luck. You can decide who that is.
Well, right now my luck is at 6, which is I think also what yours is.
Yes.
So I'll do it because you already did it once this time around, but I don't think it doesn't bode well for us. 7. Nope.
Give me 1 second to answer your. Your luck was at 6, and you rolled a 6.
My luck was at 7, and I rolled a 6. Sorry, what did I roll? Where's my roll for? My luck was at 6, and I rolled a 7.
Okay. So you lose the luck.
Mm-hmm.
But these things have just been too well guarded. I mean, like it's not even like just elves don't like people pounding around their military ships. But these ships were, originally designed by the Elven Armada. So
Got it.
It seems unlikely you've ever gotten to be on one. I mean, you see the kind of upper forward.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big sort of like what am I trying to say? There's a big bridge. You can see where the bridge is because you know where the eyes are.
Mm-hmm. Right. Morel, while I was gone, did you hear anyone aside from the first mate and the whoever that was who was carrying out the boxes? Was there a lot? Were there more crew members on board, or was it just the two of them? Or I mean, that you saw or heard.
Let's see if I remember. Did I see or hear any others besides those two? I think there were a couple of other crew members that I heard, didn't I? But now I can't remember.
I think there was the first mate. There was several people who came through the door. They talked to the first mate. About 3 of them. One of them there was a lot of yelling, and one of them seemed to sort of take the brunt of the yelling, and that was the one who ended up having to.
Right.
Okay, so there's a
poor young Scro who's probably unconscious somewhere in orbit around the city.
Right. So there's at least 2 other Scro or 2 other crew members on board.
Right. I mean, and the entire crew, they could just be staying off the decks because sunlight.
Yes, the entire crew could be still inside the ship. I say we just go for it. We just move deeper into the ship.
Yeah, I mean, I think I should scout ahead because I am definitely better at sneaking than you are.
Yes. Although I am harder to hurt and can come up with an excuse for being there, which they may or may not buy, but will at least buy me some moments. But yeah, you're better at sneaking.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're better off trying to avoid them then.
Sounds good. So I think I'm just going to stand stock still, as if I'm almost deactivated in the cargo hold, while you do your sneaking. And, holler if you need me to come and punch things.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to proceed as carefully and as quietly as I can, opening the doors as quietly as I can, looking for empty corridors, and just listening carefully for anyone moving up ahead.
All right. Morel, make a roll equal to or under your stealth total, your sneaking total.
Yep, 5 out of 8.
You get through this door, and it's really more of a an extended cargo hold. This one seems a little more packed in, but everything seems tightly secured in a way that is almost uncharacteristic for Skro.
Okay, same sort of cargo. Lot of machine parts, no food.
Right.
Okay, well, there should be a decent amount of comfort here, so I'll proceed quietly through the hold.
There is a little bit of light here. And you hear some movement kind of coming up around from ahead of you, but you don't see anything yet.
Okay, well, I'm going to...
There are some lanterns out and about. They are turned way down. And do you have awareness?
Yes.
Go ahead and roll your awareness.
Three out of 8.
Well done. So you're being pretty alert. Kind of describe how you're kind of moving through the cargo hold.
Well, the boxes are so close together and so tightly packed that I'm actually climbing up on top of them, and there's a small gap between the boxes and the deck above. It's unlikely that anybody will notice me as I move along the tops of the boxes, moving forward very quietly. You're muted.
You discover that once you clear a certain level, there's a certain amount of illusionism in those boxes. They're sort of tied up to create, and you find yourself scrambling down a little bit away from the ceiling, and you realize you're going over the top just as you are about to get to the forward wall.
Mm-hmm.
You realize you've been going over the top of sarcophagi, about 3 of them.
Okay. I probably should not open these. Yeah, so I'll just make a note of it. Okay, so I assume there's a door at the other end of this extended cargo hold.
Oh yeah, yeah. You've got a.
Right.
You get out, and actually, it kind of opens up into a companionway.
Okay.
But going up was a good way to avoid getting spotted by anybody moving across the companionway. You see where it opens. The companionway is between two narrow rooms, but you see it opens up into an area ahead. You don't see doors to those rooms. You guess they're in that big open area. So like this is a hallway between two, kind of the ship does this. You'd guess there's two chambers on either side of that, but the doors to those chambers would be around the corner up here. So you keep moving forward. You've done brilliantly on stealth. And awareness. What is it you're sort of looking for? You hear people in those two rooms, and just as you suspected, you come out of the companionway, and one of the rooms is closed up tight, and the other one seems to have a door slightly ajar. And they're continuing to talk in that language you didn't recognize the first time you heard it. There's those two doors into those two chambers along the side of the ship, along the starboard port side. Ship kind of around the corner. You can see where they are now, and you can also see a door slightly ahead of you to the very forward portion of the ship.
Okay, so can I tell where the voices are coming from? Which of these?
They seem to be coming from. They seem to be coming from the starboard side.
Okay, and the room with the door ajar is on which side?
That's the starboard side one.
Okay.
The port side one is closed up tight.
Okay, so that's the room with the door ajar. That's where the voices are coming from.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not going to go in that room. I'm going to. Okay, so I guess I'm going to try to get into the other room, the one that's sealed tight. Check the door, see if I can open it quietly.
3 doors, one to the port side,
right.
One to the starboard side, and one forward.
Right. And then the one to the port side. The one to the port side is the one that was sealed tight, and that I don't detect any voices coming from that one. So I'm gonna go and try to open that, peek inside, see if it's empty.
This door is locked.
Locked. Okay.
Being a ship, I mean, like these. When I said sealed tight, I just meant like it would look like it was barred. It was not like airtight. In fact, the door seems to have a good bit of crevice space around it. A good bit of gap between the floor and the door, maybe like a half an inch. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot of space under a door.
Right.
And then there's space between the planks, but you're not seeing any light come through this room, and the door is locked.
Okay. I don't think I can open it without making noise. So let's see if I can sneak to the front door, the forward door.
The forward door opens. So tell me if you need to revise anything you were doing. I'd forgotten to mention to you, as you were coming into the companionway, there's sort of a stair up to an upper portion of the ship. Sorry, I forgot. There's 4 ways out of that sort of cargo holding area. Yeah. There's a small wooden stair, kind of almost like an attic ladder. the port side room, the starboard side room, which we already discussed. Port's locked. Starboard seems to have people in it. And then the forward door. So I'll let you digest that. Carl, anything you're doing? And you're on mute, Jesse. Sorry. You remuted.
There we go. So I think I'm continuing to stand completely stock still. But here's what I would like to try. Like, what I feel like I'm sort of plotting as this is happening. I am like trying to think about ways to get sunlight inside the interior of this vessel. And like, as good at punching as I am not good enough to punch through the wall of a
military ship.
Yes, I am not.
That is most likely highly true.
But I'm trying to like whether there are like more fragile elements, whether it's the eyes of the ship in the bridge. Like if we can make it to the bridge, we can maybe make that a safe spot. Some other stuff like that. That's sort of, but at this point, I'm not sure there's a way for me to enact that, and I'm sort of at this point, I think I'm just sort of standing there. But if Morel is gone for too long, I'm probably going to start to follow him. But for now, I think I'm just there. He's not been gone too long.
Yeah. One thing that occurs to you right this second, it's going to be hard to get sunlight in this ship because Brawl is turned away from the sun.
Oh, I thought it was still daytime, and so now we're getting.
Yeah, it's there is, you know, the street lamps are bright enough to suggest daytime.
Mm-hmm.
But Brawl is turned away. It is in a light cycle. It is turned away. The sun is going to the what little sun it's getting is going to the Citadel on the flip side of the ship.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, I'm waiting.
All right, coming back. What did you want to do to Morel?
Okay, these stairs, would they lead to an open deck or a deck that's...
You've not seen open decks, but you know there has to be an open space for gun, or at least a place that goes somewhere open for gun. I mean, it's a military ship, though not a heavy military ship. And you know, you're flying in wild space, so everybody's got to have a gun of some sort. You've not seen an open deck from viewing the ship from the outside, though, so you assume the gun deck would be the upper portion of the ship. So you would assume gun deck would go up. The forward actually is at the forward entrance of the ship, and then what looks like the bridge where the eyes are is actually below the deck you're on, the main deck.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm going to try the forward door.
Okay. You open that forward door pretty easily. And I'd like you to test your luck if you want to. Just tell me what result you get.
All right. Well, that's 7 is not going to do it.
You open the door, and you open it quietly as you can with a creaky old door. And there's several lanterns going. And the first thing you see, kind of looking up, is a figure that, from your height, looks vaguely like Mateus, sort of stretched out on a table. Not moving, kind of with his arms folded over his chest. But you think you see a little bit of a rise and fall in his breathing. And then you hear, "What the hell are you doing here?" as a feminine human voice in a common says that, "What the hell are you doing here?" to you. And coming around that table, you see the woman from the library. That was with Sregor Hasir.
I've come to negotiate for the captain.
I don't know. I kind of like the captain. Is he really a captain?
Of sorts. It's not a military rank. It's sort of, he bought a boat, and you buy a boat, you get to be called captain.
Sounds like heirs of a self-importance, if you ask me.
Exactly. He's a pompous fool. He's not worth much.
Is he worth one of you?
See, we tried not to sacrifice human lives, the lives of our crew. It's an organic life form thing.
I would never sacrifice a human life. I eat them.
See, that's the kind of thing we tend to call sacrifice.
Matter of perspective.
Yes. It's our perspective is that we don't like being eaten.
We've been having gnome for several days now. I'm feeling peckish and hungry for something different. Are you going to hold still, or are you going to make this difficult?
I was thinking difficult, because that's sort of my negotiating leverage, you see.
Oh, that you're going to let me eat you if I give you the captain?
No, it's like I'm not going to kill you if I give you the captain. I am not going to have my companions interfere with the ship's cargo if you give me the captain. I'm not good. There are several more of us, and we are all in a position to cause you a great deal of annoyance.
No, keep in mind that you've not been able to really see the top of the table from your 3 foot, 3.5 foot height. You've just seen the outline, the silhouette of the captain up there. Not the silhouette, the outline of the captain sort of lying there. And she reaches over and sort of picks something up, like she's picking up a rabbit or a cat. I've known too many people with pet rabbits, so that's the first thing that popped to mind. Like a cat. And you see her sort of pet at it. Darling, the halfling is very amusing. Wouldn't you love to have halfling for dinner? And what as she brings it around, what you see is a very docile, slightly smallish. I mean, Nyogi are small. This is slightly smaller. Nyogi. That doesn't seem to be terribly verbal. And it looks at you, Moral. What do you do?
And I think my best chance is to crap. I don't feel like there are a lot of good tactical options here.
Retreat is sometimes a tactical option.
Yeah.
There's a giant metal golem in the cargo hold that does not taste good.
Yeah, I'm going.
You can also just try to use your flat out skill to do something desperate.
Right. But I don't think I can take both of them in a fight. So right. I think I need to retreat. Is there a way to jam the door behind me?
That's I think you might have to give up your axe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like,
I think you already had it out, or at least close at hand.
Right.
Yeah, it's really easy for you to get your axe. Yeah, I think you can jam your axe into that handle. Is that what you're going to try to do?
Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll jump back out of the door, jam it shut with my axe, and run as fast as I can.
You're bolting. I'm not going to have you roll for that. I think that's a pretty good plan. She seems oddly disinterested in making noise. But you hear that Nyogi hissing and gurgling in sort of a weird way. And when you think back you'd swear you saw it had like gigantic teeth in its head. You bolt. Yeah. Are you trying to be quiet at all?
I'm prioritizing speed over noise, but I mean, yeah, I'm trying not to make unnecessary noise.
That seems wise. As you sort of get to the door to where Carl is, you hear what you think is the door to the occupied room open. Like, who's there? Who's running around out there?
I do not answer them.
A lot more language in a lot more words in a language you don't understand. Carl, you see him come, like in sort of silhouetted in the light for the larger cargo hold in that area, in the main area of the ship. You see him sort of come bolting out of a door. What do you do?
Get ready to punch whatever's following him.
There doesn't seem to be much following him really close at hand. Though you hear noises coming from behind.
I ask, what are you running from?
They spotted me. The captain's here, but we can't get him out. Come on. Best chance we need to go get the harbor master. See if we can get him to search the ship and get the captain back.
So I think I do a thing that looks kind of like a shrug, except for my shoulders don't move that much. Like it's like a weird little awkward gesture.
You hold your arms out.
Sort of, yeah, like a very, it's not a weird, that's even better. It's like a super exaggerated. And then
it's hard not to move your shoulders.
Well, I think it's one of those things where my shoulder, like I have weird joints.
Right.
So my shoulders don't move like normal meat shoulders. So there's like, I'm trying to make that motion and I can't really. Anyways, so I'm very into like how Carl's body works, and I'm just not sure. So
right,
there's like there's a lot of weirdness here, but like kind of uncanny. Yeah, and I turn towards the gangplank and start to walk out.
You're just walking?
I don't move very quickly in general. I've got that weird penguin walk kind of thing going on.
What are you doing, Morel, as he sort of like turns and starts walking out? Are you still hustling now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm moving a little more slowly since it seems like I'm not being closely pursued. I'm not trying
closely. I don't mean so. I mean somebody is not right on your tail.
Right.
But you did lock someone in the door.
Right.
And they did seem to be. You hear lots of yelling now, coming from from the big cargo area in the main part of the ship.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying not to leave Carl behind, but I'm gesturing for him to move faster.
I mean, I keep going at the pace that I'm going at. I'm not.
I am going to swap to initiative. And assuming that you guys can continue doing what you're intending to do. And we're going to start with Carl.
I mean, I'm
trying to move.
Has a vampire arrived? Has anything arrived in the room yet?
No, but there's lots of noise and yelling, and you hear them trying to unjam a door.
So I think I stop and I say to Morel, I think I see that he doesn't have his axe anymore. And I say, you get out of here quick. I'll guard your back and get out when I can. And I stop sort of at the entrance to the gangplank and face the other door, try to buy Morel some time.
Nice. Okay. 1 second. I'm going to need to shuffle these one real quickly.
I think also, it has now registered in my head that the captain is in here, and there's no guarantee that the captain will survive the time we take to get to the harbor master. Like, they might as well just kill him and toss him overboard, so when the harbor master comes to inspect, they don't find, there are all kinds of...
Well, also, running people in and out of Brawl is not always... I mean, it's frowned on and technically illegal.
Right. but
let's say that.
But there is someone in this port that will sometimes turn a blind eye for the right cost.
Right. And by someone, you mean there's a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
Morel, you're up.
Okay, well, I'm going to head for get off the ship.
All right, you are off.
Okay, and I'm looking for.
You heading down to the main part where you'll find the harbor master's office?
Right.
All right. Reshuffling my tokens.
Oh, did you get the end of round token there? Or did you see it?
Yep, I did. Carl, what are you doing? You're starting to hear them. They're still fumbling with that door, and you hear people moving towards this, but they're not running.
I think what I do is I punch open a couple of those boxes, or just rip them open, and shake out their contents in front of the door, in the hopes that will be like an obstacle when they come through. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. They hear me stomping about, ripping open wood.
So just those boxes with the gears in them?
Yeah. Like nice. I dump out the gears in front of the door. I'm picturing like a kind of Home Alone booby trap kind of situation.
Right.
Presumably they're wearing boots, but it will at least be like a minor obstacle.
You can test your luck once they get out there.
Mm-hmm.
Morel, you were heading down to the harbor master. You notice a lot of commotion, Morel, around the harbor master. Apparently that orbital siren, when somebody fell into orbit a while ago, there's whispers that the person who fell into orbit disappeared. Oh, come on. All right, Carl, what's your plan?
I mean, my plan is just kind of to wait for them and then punch them until they go away, or until Morel gets back here with some kind of reinforcements. Like, as I said before, I'm not a particularly tactical thinker. I'm curious about certain stuff, and then I punch other stuff, and that's sometimes I punch the stuff I'm curious about because it seems to be wanting to hurt me. But
right,
you know, like there's as interested as he is in sort of some kinds of like philosophical ideas. Carl is also not an intellectual. Like he needs to know this stuff because he feels like it gets at the core of who he is, but also when he has a problem, he mostly punches it.
You can test your luck now.
I will test my luck now. I will almost certainly not pass that test. Ooh, I passed that test. Well, I tied my luck.
Nice. Congratulations. You You recognize the one who's storming through the door right now, right in front of you. He's storms into the room and he's yelling and he's pointing at you. He's like, I thought I said, get your ass off this ship. I'm looking for a halfling. And he hits the gears and it goes, his feet go right out from under him. They just, metal and slippery and slick, and they just sort of slide out from under him as soon as he hits them. And right across that wooden floor, and he lands on his back.
Mm-hmm.
What are you? Well, it's not up to you yet. And another one of them comes running through. Yelling like rock. And he sort of jumps over what you've got there and the body. What's the big idea? Where's the halfling? Speak to me. And he comes at you with a big old club. Are you going to punch him with your mace?
Yeah.
Your big mace?
I think what I'm going to actually try to do is catch the mace with my fist.
Oh, the club?
Catch the club with my hand.
Okay. I'm going to have you roll your fist fighting in a versus test.
Mm-hmm. Against his club skill?
Monsters don't have skills. They have a flat skill rating they roll for everything.
Got it. That is like 18? I think 19?
Yeah, screw that. They
19.
really cannot roll on attacks. I'm getting 2 more D6. Different D6. Better D6. Over to you. What are you doing?
So what's the position I'm in? I've caught his club.
Yep.
So I think while I've got his club immobilized in my left hand,
Mm-hmm.
I punch him with my right hand.
All right. He's going to try to yank his club out of your hand and hit you with it. He's got a 15. How are you doing with the fist fighting?
16.
Roll your damage. Just a D6.
That is not a great roll. I rolled a 2, so that's 4, ignoring damage. Ignoring armor.
All right. Ignoring armor.
And do I still have a grip on his club?
Yes, you do. End of round. Or end of turn. And Moral, I'm assuming there's a flat amount of time before you just get there.
Okay.
Rather than trying to do that with initiative.
Okay.
And I'm going to flip these things to white, and then Jesse, if you would move them around for me. Yeah, yep, shuffle them. I'm being too slow on the shuffle.
Yeah. I'm going to move a bunch of them away and then bring them closer, although I think I just stuck one behind that beholder by mistake. Yeah.
I'm going to clear out that beholder since as cute as it is.
I do like that bartender beholder. Oh, should I flip over the 2 orange ones, or is he just out because he's going?
Yeah, because I already know what Morel's doing, and I'm going to give it sort of a set period of time.
Okay, that is shuffled.
Thank you, sir. And yeah, the one who's you're holding on to is going to try to snatch his club back and hit you with it. These dice are even worse. Why don't you roll just for kicks and grins?
Oh, shits and giggles, shits and grins. They're my favorite reasons to roll dice. Am I rolling fist fighting or wrestling or strength or what?
Fist fighting.
That's 19.
Yeah. Why don't you? Are you hitting him?
Yeah, I mean, I'll hit him back if I can.
Yeah.
That is, there we go. That's the kind of damage I want. That is 8 damage. Still ignoring armor.
They don't seem to be wearing any armor.
Excellent. Sorry, it only ignores 1 point, but they're wearing 0 points of armor.
Jesse, would you reshuffle those again?
Yep.
There are some things around myself.
Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. The surface is kind of slick. It's like interesting as you move the things around. Like the physics of the table are interesting. Are like you're not always going where I think they're going to go. All right, shuffle.
Two more are coming in the room. And see you sort of locked in there and just like, what's wrong with the damn golem? Where's the halfling? And one of them comes at you just to sort of throw you backwards towards the hatch, gangplank, etc.
Mm-hmm. What should I roll?
Yeah, go ahead and roll fist fighting.
Fist fighting or wrestling? Let me actually tell you what I want to do. I
Okay.
just want to not be moved. Like I want him to try to throw me and have me be like a statue that he can't move.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it against wrestling.
Okay. That's not as good as my previous rolls. 15.
This is 17.
Wait, also, did I lie? Hold on. It's 8 plus 6. 14. It's even lower.
You are on your back at the edge of the gangplank. Well, actually, do you want to press your luck?
Is there, aside from the luck, is there a cost to that?
No.
All right, then yeah, I'll press my luck.
All right.
Because it's already pretty low.
Yeah.
And I did not succeed.
Okay. Yeah, you are barely hanging on to the edge of the edge of the hold where the gangplank attaches. They're like, "Oh, we're filing a report with the harbor master." They go storming down the gangplank as you're sort of like desperately trying to like hold on. And the scroll goes storming off. And you start to feel like you're going to pull yourself back onto the gangplank. When you see a little bitty lamprey human-sized face come over the edge, and you realize you're staring down, you're staring up into the face, a human face on the edge of a lamprey attached to the body of a spider, and it's just sort of smiling stupidly at you. And then a little bit of blood drips out of its mouth and falls onto your shiny bronze metal forehead. And it's going to try to It's going to try to stare right in your eyes. You can roll and add your skill.
Interesting, because I don't really have eyes, right?
Well, where your eyes should be. I assume that you do actually get sight through the place that you would expect to get sight from.
All of this stuff sort of is like vaguely in my head areas where it's centered, but I'm not saying he should still it can still look in my eye. Like there's the vague impression of where a face was once carved. I just like that image of like the Nyogi staring into these almost gone eyes, like very unsettling. Okay, I'm rolling my skill.
Mm-hmm.
1 above.
No, sorry, you're gonna roll an add.
Oh, in that case, 13.
13?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tie. Do you want to try the unusual circumstance in which you might be able to press your luck?
I'll give it a shot. Come on, 2. Oh, that's a 4.
Oh, man.
I should be rolling 2 dice for this, right?
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
Carl. You don't so much hear as just know what this thing wants. Because at the back of your mind, you hear orders, like, you're used to obeying orders. And it's, Porter, bring me the halfling. I want it. It looks so yummy. And you really want to help it. And you're able to pull yourself back onto the ship and head down the gangplank. Morel, you arrive at the harbor master's office. And the harbor master is not there. Luckily for you, one of the more honest deputies is there and seems shocked and appalled. He's already like, somebody got knocked into orbit. And then we watched as they cleared the horizon of the asteroid, and it wasn't even a far orbit. They cleared the horizon of the brawl, and we watched, and we had a rescue crew in a skiff heading out to get them, and all of a sudden they just screamed and vanished.
Yeah, I think everyone on that ship is a vampire.
Well, there's nothing illegal about being a vampire. I'm sorry. There's nothing.
Yeah, but I think that's also the ship. All those robot yogi things that were running havoc all over the rock. I think that's where they came from, and they kidnapped Captain Mateus. I saw him in there.
Well, I mean, I would need to have a. I mean, it's not a registered Brawlian ship. I would need to have a letter, a warrant. I need to have a warrant or God, I hate vampires. I hate vampires so much. What would you like to do? Or what do you want to tell him that you think might sway his... Are you sure that's where those clockwork things were coming from?
Well, I pulled some of the gears out of my pocket and said, I found these on the ship. That's the same stuff that was inside those things.
I mean, can you show me what was in? I would need to see what was inside them. I kidnapping, which is what you always get with vampires and Elithids and Neogi.
I mean, I'll swear out a complaint, but I'm really concerned that if we don't board the ship quickly, they might kill the captain, turn him into a vampire or something.
All right, he's like, I'm gonna put together an emergency inspection, but they might be able to turn us. And he starts putting together a crew. He starts pulling people in. When a whole bunch of Skrull storm into the office, look at you and say, there you are. And right behind them, you see Karel moving very purposefully towards you. With the Skrull, the only thing between you and Karel. And I think before we go into a huge fight, with only 2 people here, I'm going to call it there for the night.
Okay.
Stephen, are you... So 1 second, I'm going to stop the broadcast and say thanks to people for watching.